Yeah, like maybe 15 or 20% of the time I would see something that made me laugh, but like it doesn't seem like that was enough to justify the fact that it really just basically made me unhappy.
Yeah.
80% of the time I looked at it.
I think you fucked your feet up, man. I think you fucked your algo up.
Hello, De Niro Nation, and welcome to Our Hero De Niro, the only podcast watching and recapping every Robert De Niro film in random order. I'm Mike, joined as ever by my co-host Mike.
No relation.
No relation. And today we are thrilled to be discussing the 1993 Michael Caton Jones film, This Boy's Life. Mike,
Thrilled is
have you ever...
Thrilled's an interesting way of putting it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a nice episode. I think we're going to have a lot of laughs.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here talking to you. I think it'll be a nice hour or two. That'll be nice. But Mike, had you ever heard of this film before we rolled it for the podcast?
I'm aware of it because it's Leonardo DiCaprio's feature film debut as This Boy. But other than that, I didn't know a thing about it. What about you?
Oh, no, definitely not. Nope. I had never heard of this film, and I was delighted, as careful listeners may recall, to hear last week that it was directed by Michael Caton Jones, who astute listeners will remember from a few months ago was the director of City by the Sea, also starring Robert De Niro. And it'll be interesting to compare and contrast this film with that one. I think as we get on through it.
Yeah.
So here's a little bit of information about this. You alluded to this, but let me just really stress it. This was Leonardo DiCaprio's feature film debut, and you know what? Say what you will about the film, and we're gonna have a lot to say about it. Thought he was quite nice in the role. It was really cool to see him at the beginning of his career. We've seen two really early Leonardo DiCaprio films now. The last one must have been 7 or 8 months ago at this point, at least, right? Melvin's Room, as we call it, which was probably a few after this, I would think, in Leonardo DiCaprio's filmography. He's a little younger in this.
Yeah.
He's a little kid in this movie, essentially.
I think it would be pretty funny for your recommendation this week. I think the funniest possible way for you to go would be if you recommend the 1997 James Cameron film Titanic, also starring Leo DiCaprio.
Shit, that would be funny. That didn't even occur to me.
Oh, really?
Is that your recommendation?
No, I have a real one, like I do every week.
I also have a real one.
That's nice.
I have a pretty thoughtful one. Yep. So the Wikipedia article does not say what this film's budget was. Google's AI overview, so take that with a grain of salt, says it was approximately $4 million, and this grossed $4.1 million, making it a huge box office disappointment. And this had some pretty middling critical reception, right? Not poor. It has a 76 on Rotten Tomatoes and a 60 on Metacritic.
Roger Ebert liked it.
Did Roger Ebert like it? I didn't see that.
Yeah, may he rest in peace. A 3.5 out of 4.
Wow, that's really interesting. Yeah, we'll have to see if we liked it more or less than Roger Ebert. We've discussed it before on the podcast. You know, Roger Ebert is, I think, for both of us, a relatively good barometer for quality, because I think that he had an almost preternatural taste in things that just allowed him to see the closest thing, I guess, in any piece of creative art that you could describe as its objective quality. But sometimes things just resonate with him, right? Rocky and Bullwinkle is the big one that comes to mind for me. That kind of gives him a little bit of rose-colored glasses, I guess, for looking at things.
Yes.
And occasionally he does miss.
I mean, this is another story that takes place during the 1950s, mostly.
Right.
So I think that has to do with it. You know, what I love about Roger Ebert, he truly was the greatest film critic of all time. And I like that he always tried to judge a movie on its own terms. I really appreciate that.
That is nice.
But you know, I disagree with him every now and then. He gave Speed Racer 1.5 out of 4 stars. So he didn't always get it right.
Yeah, that's true. And it was scored by Carter Burwell is the one other thing that I will say about it. I'm a big Carter Burwell fan. Are you a big Carter Burwell fan?
I'm not familiar with Carter Burwell.
He scored like every Coen Brothers movie and every Martin McDonagh movie.
Oh, it'd be a great name for like a work boot brand. Wearing my Carter Burwells, yeah. Steel
He's
Toed.
one of the greatest and most prolific film score composers of all time. So there you go. We had him here for this film.
Yeah, he did 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri, and The Banshees of Inisherin, both films that I liked and did not love.
Yep. Well, there you go. Anything else you want to say about this before we get right into it?
Oh, no, let's get into it, man.
Well, I guess it won't be said in the film, or at least I don't think it'll come in my recap. So I guess we should say, so this is a biographical film.
Yeah.
So the screenwriter, this Robert Getchell gentleman, he adapted this from an autobiography written by Tobias Wolff called This Boy's Life. And Leonardo DiCaprio's character is Tobias Wolff. And so this is supposed to be, I think, a relatively accurate depiction of this guy's life, at least based on his autobiography.
Of this boy's life.
This boy's life, excuse me, not this guy's life, this boy's life. All right, so here we go. Let's get right into it. So the film opens. We have a young Leonardo DiCaprio narrating a drive that he and his mom are taking from Florida to Utah. He says that his mom left an abusive partner for this trip, and it looks like it's about the 1950s. I write here, Carter Burwell score. That's fun. Leo D's mom tells him that she wants to get rich, finding uranium, and their car breaks down and then gets repaired with no friction at all. A couple of other things I noted here in the credits. Produced by Art Linson.
It sure was, man. It sure was.
Yep. Producer of, modern classics such as Heat, and the director of your favorite modern classic and mine, What Just Happened.
Yeah,
so very excited
based on a memoir written by Art Linson.
He was really inspired to make What Just Happened by this film. He was like, shit, I could make something autobiographical. And directed, as I said, by Michael Caton Jones. Anything you want to say about this opening scene?
I mean, the mom, her name is Caroline, and she's played by the great
Beautiful
Ellen
name.
Barkin. Yeah, it's a fine name. And I think from very early in the film, we're seeing subtle signs that maybe Caroline is kind of stupid.
Yeah, it took me a few paragraphs to get that.
Oh, yeah?
I will say the point where I wrote, it seems like Caroline is really stupid, but I wrote it in my notes. Like it was a few paragraphs in where I was like,
I had the
I don't know
feeling
about this lady.
Yeah, I had the feeling from the very first scene. I will also note when I explicitly, I watched this by myself. I said out loud to myself, this lady seems really stupid, but continue your recap. I'll raise my hand. I'll interrupt. Maybe I'll clap or something.
And I do want to just draw attention to something that I hoped would not become a motif or a trope, but did, right? And so I said it when I said the sentence, and I just want to say it again. Their car breaks down, and then they fix it, and there's never any consequences for this. This is kind of the recurring motif of the film, I think. So we'll call it out when it happens. There's a lot of friction or scenarios that seem like they could introduce friction that are kind of like hand waved at on screen, but very little of any actual friction or tension ever takes place in the film. And so I kind of see this car breaking down little moment here at the beginning as kind of foreshadowing the general tone of the film. So they arrive where they're going. It's Salt Lake City, Utah, October 15th, 1957. Caroline and Tobias, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, they go into a shop and ask for some information about where they can find uranium.
Clap. This is what I said out loud.
This was the moment. Okay.
Because she's talking to the shopkeeper. And she's this single mom driving across country trying to start a new life for her and her son. And instead of finding a job as like a diner waitress, she's like, I'm going to go wander the countryside in search of uranium that I can just collect and sell. And the guy is like, can I say something politely, ma'am? What the fuck are you talking about?
He says it all 1950s so he doesn't say, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
What he tells her is that she should have gone to Moab. If she wanted to look for uranium, and quote, she's got more courage than common sense is the exact way that he says.
That's a good way of putting it. I like that.
Oh, here it is. So this was the same moment for me. There we go. I thought it was a little later than this. I wrote after that quote, she does seem pretty dumb. So there you go.
You surprised you surprised yourself with your own notes like 2 lines ahead.
Yeah, there you go. I don't read ahead. We get more narration from Toby, and he says that his mom was always the kind of person who had high hopes for things, especially for him. We see him have a meeting with the principal at his school. It's ostensibly the second time in 2 weeks he's been called down for some kind of rule breaking. And we see that they're staying in a pretty rundown apartment. They're sleeping on a Murphy bed. You know what a Murphy bed is, right? People know what that is, don't they?
I mean, I do. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll say what it is just in case
Yeah.
people don't.
I don't know- I don't know
is
if
one of
people
those
know.
beds that a Murphy bed is one of those beds that comes out of the wall.
Yeah.
So in really small apartments, you know, the bed can be folded up into the wall, so you get that space the bed takes up as living space during the day when people aren't laying on the bed. We see Caroline get a call from somebody named Roy, and he comes over and gives Toby a Winchester rifle, and it seems like he's stalking Caroline in kind of a weird, creepy way. We get a kind of smash cut to this Roy character trying to force himself on Caroline, and then Toby hears his mom having this whole experience she's having out there through the wall as he plays with his new Winchester.
Yeah, Roy, played by the great Chris Cooper, who we've previously seen in, I'm pretty sure, Guilty by Suspicion.
Okay, there you go. Did not catch that at all. I liked Guilty by Suspicion, though. It's a nice film.
Yeah, am I making that up? Was he in Guilty by? Oh, yes, he was. He was Larry Nolan. He was the guy who like rats on his wife to get custody from her.
Really?
And then she backs off a cliff in her car.
Yeah. Yeah. He was one of the worst guys, I think, depicted on screen in the podcast. I am going to say this later on in my notes, but I'm thinking about it right now, so I'm just going to say it to you. I think a fun special episode for us to do would be to make an awards show kind of like the Roberts, but it's like stuff like that, like worst guy in a Robert De Niro movie. I had that thought while I was watching this. Something inspired me. Like I said, something was the superlative of the podcast so far, and I was like, well, shit, I think that's true. It'd be kind of fun to make a list of those things and have a conversation about that. So file that away. That could be a fun 90th episode for us.
Listen, citizens, if you wanted that episode, email us at ourherodeniro@gmail.com. Make your voices heard.
Yeah, I think that, you know, if we think that it's a good idea, we should probably just do it because chances are no one's going to email us.
I just want people to email us, man. You know,
I mean, I hope somebody will email us, but I think it's important that we acknowledge that deafening silence from our audience indicates nothing. So if we get one email about it, it's the greatest idea ever because it's the thing that got somebody to email us. But please write us about literally anything at ourherodeniro at gmail.com. We get some more Toby narration about how he misses his dad, who's living back out east. And I wrote here, Caroline really fucking sucks and that she seems like a pathologically bad decision maker. So I think this might have been what I was thinking of when I like really wrote it to myself. Like this was the moment I saw this all happening and I was like, there is something very wrong with this lady.
Yeah. And as a mother, she has a very friendly relationship with Toby, but you know, kids don't need friends. They need parents to function like parents. And there's clearly no stability in Toby's life. So it's like, it's not a surprise that he's getting in trouble with the principal at a school that he's only been at for 2 weeks because his mom decided to go searching for uranium. Like what? Yeah. Go to a major city and get a job working at a department store or something because it was 1957 and those were booming back then.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that this film, I guess, could tee up in terms of observations about good and bad parenting and good and bad theories of, I guess, child and adolescent psychology. And I think we'll get a lot of opportunities to talk about that stuff. They leave Salt Lake City to head to Phoenix, but the next bus to Phoenix isn't until tomorrow. So they decide to go to Seattle instead, which gives you a little bit of a picture into Caroline's general kind of decision-making framework about, one of the 10 most important decisions she'll make in her life, where to move with this kid.
I thought that was so interesting as a character moment because, they just arrived in Salt Lake City. They found out that the uranium plan, it's like an Always Sunny caliber scheme. The uranium scheme wasn't going to pan out. That's fine. You're in a new city. Why don't you just get a normal job? Right. Yeah. What do you plan on finding in Phoenix or I guess Seattle that you can't find in Salt Lake City?
It reminds me of one of my absolute favorite Tim and Eric bits. And I actually don't like the bit that much, but it does have an opening that I think is one of the 5 funniest things ever in a Tim and Eric bit. So it's Ham. Do you remember Ham?
Vaguely. That was a while. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. So Ham is this fake infomercial for basically a cross between lamb and ham, essentially. It's spelled LAMB. But it opens with a little vignette about this guy, this rich guy who's on the phone with like his accountant or his financial planner or something. And he's telling him like, And you can hear him just quietly on the other end of the line.
I remember now, yeah.
You're gonna lose the house. You're gonna lose everything. And the guy's like, no, I can't. What am I gonna do? And you hear his advisor on the other end of the phone go, well, have you considered getting a job? And the person who's on screen you can see is like, no, that's not a fucking option. And he slams the phone down. And that's kind of how I feel about Caroline in these scenes. Like, it's like, yeah, she's struggling so much to like create a good, stable environment for her son, but she's not doing the most fucking obvious thing that she could do, which just be to get a normal fucking job that pays a paycheck.
Sorry, Jim. You're gonna lose the house.
No, we can't lose the house.
There's really nothing I can do at this point, Jim.
Well, what about my family?
Have you considered getting a job?
No, that's not an option. Son of a bitch.
Right. And you think about your lifestyle, I don't know, like what's preferable? Working in an office cubicle or like in a department store or a restaurant, or wandering the lonely desert countryside in search of uranium?
Yeah, I mean, I chose to work an office job, so I think I've kind of I've got an express preference there, right?
But all the uranium is gone now in 2026. It was all scooped up by people like Ellen.
Oh yeah, and I did write here, some people should not have children about this decision. So you and me had the same general. And me had the same general take on this. Yep. So we get a time jump. It's 6 months later, and they're in Seattle, and we see Toby, and he's walking around the neighborhood, and I'm just gonna say it. He looks like a huge fucking piece of shit. I saw him in this moment, and I was like, oh, these past 6 months have not been good to this kid. Like, he does not seem to be adapting to life in Seattle in the way you'd think his mom would probably have hoped he was going to. What did you think about him at this point?
I mean, he looks that way because he is that way.
Yeah.
So,
because as I write here, he's got some friends, and they also seem like huge pieces of shit.
Yeah.
And they're all going around doing shit-eating kid things together. And Toby comes home to his mom, and she's with some of her girlfriends, and she's talking about a new boyfriend she's got.
Oh,
she thinks things are getting serious. And he comes in, and who should it be but Robert De Niro? Mike, did you write down what the face reveal time was?
Thank the Lord. It's actually the only note that I took, and I couldn't even take it. I couldn't take it. Listen, I was multitasking yesterday when I watched this film. I watched the first half hour at the gym on my iPad while I was running a 5K. So I couldn't actually take any notes. But De Niro comes in at 17 minutes and 20 seconds on the dot.
It's interesting. I wrote 17:19.
What are you, my fucking fact checker?
You were just running so fast, that it distorted time for you.
I was entering the fucking Speed Force, jogging my weekly 5K, and I missed by 1 second.
Yep. Let's just talk about it right now, because he's going to talk as soon as he comes on screen. Mike, what would you say about Robert De Niro's accent in this film?
It's distinctive, I guess is what I'd say about it. I wish I could emulate the way that he talks. I wish I could do an impression. I probably should have practiced before this episode, because it's very distinctive. What do you have to say about it? You clearly have something teed up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we have observed a few times on the podcast that he really can't do accents very well. And I think that this is
Savage Salvation.
Not only the worst accent we have heard Robert De Niro do for the podcast, but I honestly think it might be the worst accent I've heard any competent actor do in a film that I've watched. I was really bowled over by how bad it was.
I don't know that I consider it that bad. I think because it really fit how much of a loser piece of shit this guy is. And same with his haircut. He has like a 50s flat top, and I was going to
mention the haircut too.
I found it genuinely intimidating. This guy seems like a real fucking weirdo. What?
So you just reminded me, this was what it was. I will get to it in my notes. But the thing that made me think of that idea for a themed episode was that I think this is the biggest loser Robert De Niro has played in a film that we've watched. And I think this would be my pick if we had a biggest loser performance award on that show.
One thing that I thought about when I was watching the film was, we're 68 episodes into this podcast. We've seen
we've seen 2/3 of them.
So many De Niro films. And I think it's really nice in a way that this is the first De Niro character that we've seen that has a Napoleon complex. Because De Niro's, he's not a tall guy. He's around. Guy. Yeah, he's shorter than us, I think. And I think it's nice that it took 68 episodes to finally find a character who is really just small and constantly emasculated and pathetic in that kind of Napoleon complex kind of way.
Yeah, it is really something. So here's why I think the accent is so awful. I already thought it was kind of bad when we first hear him talk here, but here he's doing this kind of like sort of salt of the earth, like it's got a little bit of a Pacific Northwest sound to it, but it actually sounds a little bit mid-Atlantic to me in a weird way. But then over the course of the rest of the film, he's going to slip in and out of both a Canadian accent as well as some cross between Irish and Scottish. I noticed all of these different accents during the film. And so it isn't even that any one of the types of voice he does as this character are particularly bad. Like in this moment, I heard him talk and I was like, well, it doesn't really sound very good because I don't think he's very good at it. But like, whatever. It's like kind of garden variety, like Robert De Niro trying to do an accent other than his own voice. But it's how inconsistent he is. Like this film really feels to me like the proof in the pudding that he really can't do it. He just can't do accents. He's constantly slipping between different accents throughout the performance.
Yeah. I mean, hey, De Niro, play to your strengths, man. No one's asking you to do this.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think the character would have been weird if he'd had Robert De Niro's voice. Yeah, honestly. So somebody probably did ask him to do it. Honestly, I think it would have been a little odd.
They should have asked.
Tough to.
Can you do it?
Right. I think it's probably tough to thread that needle for him. Right. I would think like it's challenging to be one of the greatest actors of your generation, but have that weakness, but then also have a pretty distinctive accented voice, you know, like Robert De Niro's voice has an accent. And so he always has that accent if he's just using his own voice when he's playing a role. So the character's name is Dwight, Robert De Niro's character, and I described him here as really ostentatiously charming and obsequious. You've already kind of given us a little bit of a clue about what this character is like, but we are kind of seeing the first bit of that, right? Like he's really laying on the charm very thick in the way that I think these kinds of people tend to do, until their true colors come out. Caroline leaves with him to go on a date. Okay. In the next scene, Toby and his piece of shit friends are making some of their little kid mischief. And Toby goes home, and at dinner, he does an imitation of Dwight, who in his charming obsequiousness that I described in the previous scene, lit one of Caroline's friends' cigarettes in a way that was meant to seem like very chivalrous. And so Toby does this impression of him and does the exact same very obsequious cigarette light for his mom's cigarette, just like he did. And we get a little bit of, I guess, exposition via characters talking about how Caroline and Toby are going to go out of town with Dwight to this town up in northern Washington, north of Seattle, called Concrete. So they go up there and they arrive at Dwight's house. He has his kids with them. So Dwight has other kids from a previous marriage. And Caroline and Toby ask the kids what the town is like. And they say it's mostly good, but it's a little quiet and a little bit isolated. And we do see our first glimpse of Dwight's anger here. So they have a little discussion where I think Toby or Caroline, one of them asks the kids if the school is right in town, and Dwight kind of horns in and speaks right up and says, yeah, the town's just a couple miles down the road. And one of his kids goes, it's 40 miles down the road, Dad. And Dwight challenges him, and he's like, oh, no, it's 39. I charted it. It's 39 miles. And Dwight, like, flips the fuck out. And he tells his kid to shut his fucking mouth and not, like, speak unless spoken to or whatever. And it's like, oh, he's this kind of guy.
He
like,
sure is.
Charmingly obsequious, but as soon as he's challenged or contradicted in any way, immediately becomes, like, violently angry. But as we'll learn throughout the film, his violence is mostly verbal in nature. So he's not even a strong enough man to actually do anything physically to anyone for the most part.
The three kids are Zach Ansley as Skipper Hansen, the teenage boy, Carla Gugino as Norma Hansen, the teenage girl, and Eliza Dushku as Pearl Hansen, I think in her feature film debut. I don't really know. I didn't do the research on it, but I think so. As like the little girl.
It's really funny. I remember when we rolled this last week, we maybe me or you or both of us remarked how delightful it would be to have Hollywood hotties Carla Gugino and Eliza Dushku in a film. And I wasn't really thinking about when the film came out and like their children, such that I never even realized it was them until I went back and looked at the cast list after watching the film. Yep. I was like, we got like 3/4 of the way through the movie, and I was like, well, when's Eliza Dushku going to show up?
Yeah.
Like,
I noticed Carla Gugino. Yeah.
Yep. That's so they go to some kind of a shooting event in town, and Dwight had told Toby that he would be allowed to shoot.
Yeah.
And then they find out when he gets there that he won't actually be allowed to shoot because he's a child. And so we're seeing another facet of Dwight's personality here, which is that he really likes to tell people what they want to hear, even when it's not true or when he won't be able to back it up. And Caroline registered to shoot as well. And the person running registration for the event is really put off by the fact that a woman wants to shoot, but she says she's a dues paying NRA member. And so she can shoot because that's the way the NRA works, apparently, is that you can participate in events at another chapter if you're a member of a chapter, which makes sense. And so she does get to shoot. Dwight goes up for his round. It's just regular target shooting.
Yeah.
It's like it's from maybe 50 yards or something like that. And he scores 24 points, which I wrote here. It seems like maybe a lot. It's kind of unclear to me what it was being scored out of because everybody seems excited that he scored a 24. And I predicted here, I'll bet Caroline is going to do better than him and make him very angry.
Oh, yeah.
And she goes up and she does a lot better than him. She scores a 93. And so here I realized, I guess it must have been scored out of 100. So I guess Dwight did really poorly and she did really well.
Oh, yeah. And Dwight, he's really fumbling during his poor performance. He's blaming his gun. Oh, it's the third rifle I've bought.
Jamming.
Yeah, it must be the gun's fault. Like, oh, man.
Oh,
this
yeah.
guy's
He
such
says
a
that
loser.
to her in the next scene. He's like, oh, I just keep getting these bad guns. And it's like, you sound like a fucking moron, dude.
You bought three guns and they're all bad.
3 guns in a row and they're all bad. You think you might want to look inward, man. I think you might not be good with guns.
Right.
I don't know. We're not all good at everything. And it seems like, unfortunately, you might not be good at anything. So. Initially, Dwight is really magnanimous about her doing so well. But then when they get home, he's really, really grouchy. They're sitting at dinner and we see him getting angrier and angrier. He's sitting silently. He's sulking. They're all talking around him having dinner and he just seems so pissed. And he delivers a toast to Caroline. Where he essentially congratulates her for her excellent shooting performance, but it's really got a lot of tension with kind of the tone of the scene in a weird way. And then the dinner ends and we see this kind of lengthy scene of the family playing music and singing together after dinner, and everybody seems really happy. And that's the end of the scene. I want to make an allusion to something that I said earlier in the recap, because this is the second time where it happens. It's going to happen a lot more times. I'm going to observe it every time it does. This is the second time after the car breaking down when something happens that appears to be getting set up narratively as maybe resulting in some conflict or friction or even real durable tension, but then it never actually does. You could rewind 60 seconds and listen to what I said, and it might sound like I skipped something, but I didn't. Dwight seems magnanimous about her winning, but then he's pissed when they get home. He's pissed. He gives the toast and it feels like there's some tension building. And then the scene just ends and they all sing together and everybody goes to bed. The end. That is the way this section of the narrative plays out. And it's really odd. Did you find this odd while you were watching it?
Not really. I guess I viewed it as more of a slow burn because things really, there's an escalation that is going to happen soon in this situation.
Yeah, you could say that. I'm not sure that I agree.
I'm not arguing that it's successful or not. I'm just saying I think that's how they were playing it. You're getting little hints right now, They're teasing it out.
Yeah, sure. All right, so the next day, Toby's back at school. And he's in the bathroom smoking cigarettes with his friends, talking a ton of shit. And he's lying about blowing a turkey's head off at the shooting event the previous day. And his friends call his bluff and tell him he's a fucking loser for telling such a stupid lie because he's shooting with a small caliber Winchester rifle and that could never blow off a turkey's head. Obviously, he scores "fuck you" on the wall of the bathroom, and we get a smash cut to his mom called into the principal's office to hear about it, and he gets suspended from school for this for 2 weeks. His mom gives him a stern talking to about all the ways things are going bad for them and that he's disappointing her. And she tells him that she is going to move him up to concrete with Dwight for a few months. And Dwight's going to straighten him out. And if it all goes well, she's going to marry Dwight so he can be a stepfather to Toby. And right now, Toby decides he likes to be called Jack, so we're going to call him Jack for the rest of the recap. And Dwight comes to pick Jack up.
Yeah, this is the
Anything you want to say
escalation.
about this? Yeah,
This is the
escalation. Okay,
When
yeah,
it's
that's interesting.
Leo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro together for months without the parental supervision of Ellen Barkin, that's when shit, I think, starts to get real.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about it when we get to the final thoughts, but I just don't know if I agree that it ever escalates, to be honest. Like, I understand. Like, I think I understand the point that you're making, but let me make a case to you throughout the rest of this recap that it never really does escalate.
I'm not saying that I'm even going to disagree with you. I just think that's the narrative.
That was what they were trying to do.
Yeah. This is a Michael Keaton Jones film. Okay, we gave City by the Sea a 3 out of 5. Yeah.
So on the drive up to Mike's earlier comment, Dwight does some questionable things. We're initially a little put off that he pulls out a little bottle of whiskey and starts drinking it behind the wheel. And Jack turns the radio on, and Dwight turns it off immediately. And Jack apologizes, to which Dwight responds by accelerating the car a lot. I think he gets up to like 85 miles an hour or something, which on pre-U.S. interstate roads in 1950s era cars was a pretty fucking unsafe speed to drive. Like, you can drive 85 miles an hour in 2026 on the American interstate system. You should not be driving 85 miles an hour in like a 1990 or 1955 Bonneville on bumfuck country road, county route, whatever in Washington. What did you want to say? Sorry.
Very jackknife coded behavior.
Oh, yes. Very jackknife coded behavior. I write, this is really going 0 to 100 real quick.
0 to 85. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he gets up to 100, I think.
Oh, damn.
Dwight reveals while he's driving very fast in this scene that Marion, who was Caroline's friend whose cigarette he'd lighted obsequiously earlier in the film, had told Dwight that Jack had an impression of him that he did. And Jack initially denies that he had the impression, but eventually comes clean. And as he's driving erratically, Dwight tries and tries and tries to get Jack to do the impression, but he refuses. And to my earlier comment, that's it. He doesn't have to do the impression, and the car doesn't crash, and Dwight never actually does anything, and he doesn't get what he wants, and then the scene ends.
Yeah, well, I think in that conversation, he threatens to break every bone in Leo's goddamn body if he acts out.
He threatens.
Yeah, listen, I'm not saying that I agree with Michael Keaton Jones with all of the creative decisions made here. And I'm not saying that, I disagree with your hypothesis here, but I think that the threat of breaking every bone in a child's body carries some weight.
That's true. Yep, that's true. So they arrive at home, and at the dinner table, Dwight explains to Jack and the other kids how Jack is a bad kid, but he knows that he wants to be better. And so he's got a whole routine planned for him to help get him in shape while he's up here in concrete. He's got 2 big barrels of chestnuts for him to haul. He's enrolled him in the Boy Scouts, and he's got him a paper route that runs every day from 3 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. And I write here, which I think is true, Dwight is pretty menacing, even with his stupid fucking accent.
Yes.
So he is a pretty menacing guy.
For what it's worth, the plan that he's laid out for Jack's stay up there in concrete, I think it all sounds great. Like, on the face of it, Jack clearly needs structure, and he hasn't had any. So yeah, give him the paper route that takes 3.5 hours every afternoon. It's better than whatever bullshit he's going to get into with his stupid friends. So sure.
Yeah. And so you said it. And so I think I'll just make the observation now, and you and listeners throughout the rest of the episode can kind of listen and see if you feel the same way. Fundamentally, I think my issue with this film is until the very end, like until the last 3.5% of the film, we're signaled to by everything about the way the story is told, that this is a serious story about an abusive stepfather. But he never really does anything that abusive, ? Until the very end. And so is it a slow build? He's just kind of mean, and he says some shit to him that you probably shouldn't say, but wasn't this kind of verbal abuse pretty normal 70 years ago? This must have been closer to a normative way to father a child. And then to your point, beyond that stuff, all the stuff he has him doing, I think, is good stuff. He's just creating rigor and structure for him in his life. Like, I don't know, like it really read to me as a very odd depiction of an abusive father. I didn't really think that he seemed that abusive. What did you think about this?
I think that I agree with your overall point within the context of the story that this film is telling. But I think the devil's in the details. Because while I said that I think that everything that Dwight has signed Jack up to do sounds like it would be good for him, we see over the course of the next few scenes how Dwight is such a weaselly, pathetic piece of shit that he manages to twist every seemingly good thing that he's doing for Jack. So everything is just distorted in a way that, I don't know. Is it like, how abusive is abusive? What threshold does it rise to? It's not as dramatic or intense as, Jack getting beaten every scene. But I mean, Dwight is a really despicable character, so it works in that sense.
He's very despicable.
He's more loathsome than whoever the hell De Niro played in The Untouchables. What was that gangster's name?
Al Capone.
Al Capone, that's the one.
I do think that a character like this is probably more loathsome than a mobster, right? Do you agree?
I think so, yeah.
This kind of really small man who like, not physically small, but like small in spirit and character, who like makes his small character the problem of like objectively weaker people in his life. Like pretty horrible way to be, I think. I don't think that most organized criminals are this bad.
Right. He's taking his aggression out on children who have no agency in their own lives. And that's what makes him so much more pathetic and more despicable than Al Capone, who probably had some sort of code that he claims to have lived by. I don't know. I don't think they were fucking with kids too often, except for when they blew that girl up in the beginning of the movie.
R.I.P.
This is my favorite character in any of these De Niro films.
Well, anyway, we'll see how we feel at the end. So then we get a montage, and it's over "Smile" by Nat King Cole, which is a great tune. It's one I used to sing at karaoke back in the day when I used to do karaoke. And we just see a montage of Jack doing all the things that Dwight said he would do. He's still sneaking stuff, though. We see he's got some porno photographs hidden in his room, but we also see that he's very sad about what's happening to him. So we're kind of getting like, this is like a synopsis of everything that's going on in Jack's life. He's doing the things Jack wants him to do, but he's rebellious in spite of doing them, and he's really unhappy about it. And so we get another scene here. Dwight tells Jack he's going to get him a scout uniform and do Boy Scouts with him. But then we get a smash cut to another scene. And the one he's given him is his older son's hand-me-downs. And they are like way too big.
Really long. Yeah.
Like he's like a 14-year-old child, and he's wearing like an adult large. The shoulders are down halfway down his bicep to his elbows. And so he is rightfully like really pissed off about this. They get into an argument, Jack and Dwight do, about whether he's going to wear the uniform, and eventually Jack acquiesces and goes to Scouts in his too big uniform. And we see him practicing something, like some kind of singing or something to do with maybe Scouts or just music in general. I don't know what the point of the singing practicing was, in the mirror that night.
Yeah, and it's not just that Jack is forced to wear the older son's hand-me-downs that are way too big for him. It's that Dwight bought himself a brand new, properly fitted Scouts uniform. So he spent his money, he really, everything he does, he just takes from those close to him and tries to put them down to make himself feel bigger. It's what makes him so pathetic.
It is very pathetic.
A lot of instances of that over the course of this film's 115-minute long runtime.
Yes. So apparently it's going well enough. So Caroline and Dwight are married, and that night they have their maritals.
Their maritals,
as Mike likes to call them,
the old monthly maritals.
Yep. And Dwight won't do missionary with her because he doesn't want her to look at him. So he'll only do it doggy style. And I write here, totally normal guy.
Or on her side.
Or on her side. That's right. He tells her there are two options: doggy style or on her side. That's right.
This is definitely the moment when I thought to myself, this has to be the De Niro character with the smallest penis, just canonically speaking. For sure,
I agree.
right?
Yep,
yeah,
I agree.
Big,
Yep.
big small penis energy, major small penis energy.
So the next day, we see them in the morning, and Caroline seems sad, but it also seems like she feels like Jack's doing pretty well in this environment. So she's thinking it's kind of worth it, I guess. And I write here, and I felt it all the way through, but this was the moment when I really felt like writing it down. Ellen Barkin's pretty hot in this movie. Do you agree?
Yeah. I've never seen her this young, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think I had either.
Yeah.
She's pretty hot. Yep, she had it going on when she was when she was at this stage of her life. I said good for her, and she's trying to be happy. But Jack seems to have made more piece of shit friends, even though he's in a new town. While he's hanging out with his piece of shit friends, a kind of effeminate boy is walking toward them, and they get really homophobic and toxic about him. He approaches them and starts talking a bunch of shit. And Jack, at his friend's goading, calls him, quote, a great big homo. And the guy just brutally fucking attacks him for this. The effeminate kid does.
Arthur.
He has a dog, and Arthur, thank you. He has a dog, and the dog also attacks Jack, and Jack gets the fucking shit kicked out of him. And Arthur makes him take back, calling him a great big homo, which deserved. I thought this scene was awesome.
He fucked around and he found out. When I watched this scene, I had a brief moment where I thought to myself how fucked up it was that people used to talk that sort of way. And then it's incredible. Two things flashed through my mind, like it sequentially. The first was, oh, wait a second. We talked that way 20 years ago when I was in high school.
I was just about to say when we were kids.
Then, but I didn't even have time to sit with that because then I thought, oh, wait, like the right wing talks that way today in 2026. Yeah. It's like, oh, we really haven't made a lot of progress, have we?
Well, I do think we've made a lot of progress.
Yeah, we made some progress. Yeah, we've made progress. We made progress.
It's not safe in polite society to talk that way.
That's true.
Whereas, it was totally safe in polite society 70 years ago to talk about this way. You'd lose your job if you said this kind of stuff at work now. I think that's good.
Yeah, it's like on the one hand, you'd lose your job, which would be like a nice societal punishment. But on the other hand, you'd be able to start a GoFundMe and raise like $500,000 in 24 hours from people who are like, oh, it's totally messed up that you lost your job for, calling
your coworker a great big slurs. Homo.
Right.
I prefer to focus on the positive.
That's nice.
I think that that'll bring us more joy in our lives. At home, Dwight interrogates him about the fight, and he lies and pretends to have won. And Dwight is also extremely toxic and homophobic about Arthur in this scene.
Oh, yeah.
So he knows about Arthur and talks about him. He used an expression I wasn't familiar with. It was plays for the pink team. Was that what it was? I didn't write it down.
That's what he said.
You familiar with this expression?
No, I've never heard that in my life. Feels like
it's got to be right. It's got to be like apocryphal in some way, I guess. And at dinner that night, Dwight tells a story about a fight he got into as a kid and says, you just have to hurt bullies or they'll never leave you alone. And I write, Jack is the bully in his analogous situation, which nobody seems to realize in this discussion.
It's like on the one hand, I kind of agree. Having been bullied growing up, you got to fight back.
That's what short circuits it, right?
On the other hand, I refuse to believe that Dwight ever actually hurt a bully in his youth. He doesn't strike me as the type of guy. So
I think that it would change the way you turned out, right? If you'd ever actually had that experience.
Right. If you ever stood up for yourself and fought back. Yeah.
If you experienced the experience of getting bullied and rose above it I don't know if this is the way you would turn out, but whatever. And I just write here that this is our first really crazy Dwight rant. He seems like a fucking lunatic in this scene. We've seen him act a little bit crazy, but the ways he's acted crazy have been more they've been more expressionist, right? It's just stuff he's doing with his physicality or little offhand comments he makes, or in a lot of ways, strategic deployment of silence, awkward silence can make him seem kind of scary. Yeah. But this is our first Dwight monologue we get, and you see the mind of Mencia, right? Here in this moment. And it's this guy is fucking nuts.
In his defense, they didn't have that diagnosis back in the 50s.
True.
So he didn't know that he was afflicted with mind of Mencia.
It's terminal, I think. After dinner, Dwight teaches Jack how to fight out on the porch while Caroline calls one of her friends. Dwight eggs Jack into hitting him. And again, in this moment,
fight training.
The way the scene is shot, a comment that Jack makes us think like, oh, when he's actually able to hit him, something bad is going to happen. But he is able to hit him and nothing bad happens. And then the scene ends.
We see Dwight emasculated. Yeah, he keeps saying, because Jack lies and says that he was hit when he wasn't looking. And Dwight really fixates on this and says, he dry gulched you. And then he keeps telling Jack how to prevent himself from being dry gulch or prevent being dry gulched. That term really stuck with me. It's the one thing I'll retain from this movie years from now.
There you go. I'm going to remember everything about this movie.
That's beautiful.
Jack is really pissed that Dwight won't give him the money for his paper route. And he's trying to get his mom to advocate for him, but she says that she won't do it. She doesn't want to get between them.
Doesn't want to referee.
Doesn't want to referee. Thank you. That's the exact line she uses. Yep.
Yeah.
Jack tells her
your loser husband is stealing your child's paper route money. What? You don't want to referee that?
Well, at this point, although I suspected, as I'm sure you did, that he was stealing it. At this point, we don't know that he's stealing it, right? He's telling him that he's just saving it for him.
Yes.
Yeah. But, spoiler alert, right? It will be revealed in like 20 or 25 minutes that he's just been stealing.
True.
It. Jack tells her he hates it in concrete, and she says she doesn't want to run away from another life. Seems like this is the one you'd want to stay in, right? This is the one. This is the good one right here.
I guess. I don't know. I think I would have preferred walking up and down the fucking road in Salt Lake City looking for uranium.
I was being sarcastic. This is obviously the one to leave. Like, she must have left so many other better lives than this, where they weren't living with this small, egotistical lunatic.
Yeah.
Who's like, just imposing his crazy will on everybody in his household. And Carla Gugino says that she has graduated from high school and moving to California.
Smart.
Jack wants to buy shoes so he can play basketball, but he doesn't have any money from the paper route, so he can't. And we see him playing basketball barefoot initially, and then in his dressy school shoes, and he's playing like shit, and everybody's laughing at him.
Yeah, this is brutal. Why would they allow that?
I mean, it was a different time, right?
I guess.
Like, yeah.
He's a hazard. He's sliding. He's literally sliding around the court.
But it wasn't earnest concern for anybody's welfare or for things being good that made rules be put in place, right? This is actually kind of aligned with the conversation we were having about, business and market pressures making things the way they are, right? It was litigation and the threat of litigation that made rules exist. And so, like in Stanley and Iris, when the plant manager or whatever says that he's got to fire Stanley because everybody sues, the only reason why they stopped letting kids play basketball barefoot in school was because probably some parents sued the school when their kid got his fucking toes pulverized by some other kid wearing cleats. Wore
those steel-toed Carter Burwells.
I love my Carter Burwells. Those are my favorite. Those are my favorite.
Podcast is over. If this was an improv exercise, we'd have to end the scene right here.
And scene. Later on, after the basketball scene, he's walking out of a scouts meeting, and the Arthur kid, whom he called a homo, is there. He tells him, Arthur tells Jack, he doesn't have a dad either, and never did, and invites Jack to walk home with him, and Jack accepts, and they really bond on this walk home out of a kind of shared feeling of alienation from their community that they're in.
I think it's nice.
I agree. I think it's really nice. I really like the Arthur character, honestly.
Yeah, same.
He seems like a sweet kid, and I feel bad for him. Like, it would have been really, really hard to be an effeminate boy in the late 50s in a rural community. God, that seems like it's got to be like one of the hardest lives you could possibly have in like the modern developed world. That's got to be tough. He seems like a nice kid. We get a scene of Dwight playing his sax. He had previously told Caroline, I didn't write it down, but he had previously told her that he played the tenor sax.
Yes.
We see a scene of him playing the sax alongside a singer on the TV, and he sounds like fucking shit.
Oh, he's terrible.
He is playing like the worst sax that anyone has ever played. And this is when I wrote it. This has to be the biggest loser De Niro has ever played. And that would be a fun tier list to make. So we could even just do a tier list of like the biggest losers in De Niro performances at the end of the podcast. I think this would be at or near the top.
Absolutely. The thought that I had watching this was that this must have been how it actually sounded when Robert De Niro was miming along to the real sax playing off to the side in New York, New York.
I didn't even make that connection. That's so funny. He must have gotten better just by virtue of the pantomiming at playing the sax, and he plays it in this scene, honestly. So he must have had to act being this bad at playing the saxophone. Dwight is pissed at Jack for eating a bunch of his candy, and he goes on an unhinged rant about how Jack is just a boy who loves eating candy and listening to music and reading and watching TV, and how he knows he watches the TV because every time he comes home, he puts his hand on the TV and it's warm, so he can tell Jack has been watching the TV. And Caroline gets upset during this argument and screams that, again, the line that you referenced earlier, she won't referee their arguments. Arthur, the kid from before, is at their house playing the piano with Jack. And I wrote here, are they feeling a love connection? That's not going to be good for Jack in this house. And I was right. I think I read this happening about 20 seconds before it actually did. Arthur leans in to kiss Jack while they're playing piano together. But the kiss is rebuffed.
Yeah, it's a one-directional love connection.
Yes, yep.
Just a little smooch between friends.
Yep. Later on, Arthur is gone, and Dwight comes home, and he's gotten a dog for Jack, which he tells him he paid for with his... Oh, no. I'm sorry. I wrote this down wrong initially. Which he tells him he paid for by selling his Winchester.
Yes.
I write here, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And there were kind of two layers to my what the fuck. So the first layer is, this is just insane in any case to buy a dog for someone without asking them if they want it, even if that person is a child. But this was the moment when I realized he must have been stealing his paper money. Because why would he need to sell the rifle to buy this dog if he had saved like $1,000 that he'd earned doing the paper route or whatever? Later that night, they're watching TV and they see a story on the news about a 14-year-old girl who got off of charges for murdering her mother's violent partner. And I wondered here, is Jack going to try to kill Dwight?
Yeah.
So just file that away.
Is this foreshadowing, as they like to say?
Yes. Next scene. Jack is driving Dwight's car like a nut.
Did you say
the dog
driving?
is in the... Do I? Fuck. Maybe I did. Yeah, you'll have to
take two.
Yeah, take two. Next scene. Jack is driving Dwight's car. Later on, Jack is driving Dwight's car like a nut, and the dog's in the passenger seat, and he's going way too fast. And I wrote here, this dog is fucking cooked. He is going to be turned to dust.
Yeah.
And actually what happens is Jack just skids off the road like a dumbass. And I write, nothing ever happens in this movie. This is the next example of the movie setting something up like it was all shot as though something was going to happen. We see him driving. We see the speedometer rapidly increasing the speed. We see him kind of turning the wheel a little maniacally. And then we see the dog on the floor, not belted in. And I was like, oh, this is the moment. Something's finally going to happen. He's going to get into a crash and the dog is going to get fucking pulverized. And that will be the impetus for some more drama in the film. But really nothing happens. He hails a guy driving a truck, and the guy driving the truck helps him tow his car out. But the next day, he's in bed, and Dwight comes in accusatorily. He met the guy, Dwight did, in town, who helped Jack, and he told Dwight what happened. And I write here, is he finally going to hit him? Yes, he is. And so he does finally hit him here in this scene.
No one has ever wanted to see a kid get hit in a movie more than you doing this recap.
I was just waiting. I was like, I just wanted to, this is ostensibly a story about abuse. We really haven't seen any abuse yet. We've seen some light verbal abuse. We've seen some light emotional abuse. I'm not saying these things are okay. I'm just saying they're not things I would make a movie about. Yeah. I don't think this is a story worth making a feature film about. Right? So now that he's finally hit him, I don't know, do you agree with me about that? Do you think up until this point, this was a story worth making a feature film about?
I got to save it for the final thoughts, man. I got thoughts to say. Finally.
Oh my God. All right, whatever. We're almost done anyway. After school, Jack's shitty ass friends hail him over. And I think I saw, although I didn't validate this, was I correct? I think I saw a young Tobey Maguire in this scene.
Oh, yeah.
Is that true? Is that Tobey Maguire?
You didn't clock him? That was Tobey Maguire.
I clocked him. I wrote it down. I'm just saying I didn't check.
Oh,
to see
yeah.
if
No,
I
that was
right after
that was him in his feature film debut.
Oh, really? Oh, that's great. I love Tobey Maguire. You like Tobey Maguire?
Yeah, I like Tobey Maguire. You know, it's fun thinking about how him and Leo are going to end up being in the Pussy Posse later in Hollywood, you know? You know anything about that?
No, I don't know what that means. What is that?
The Pussy I'm really happy I get to tell you about the Pussy Posse.
I'm really happy that we get to record it live on air, too. That's pretty fun.
The Pussy Posse, this was a nickname coined by, I think, a New York Magazine writer for a group of young, up-and-coming Hollywood actors in the early 90s. And it was primarily revolving around Leo DiCaprio, Tobey Maguire, Kevin Connolly, and David Blaine. So they were just known for like super hard partying. And this nickname, the Pussy Posse, is specifically associated with that early 90s era of their careers.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's fun. How did I not know about that?
I don't know. I thought it was
interesting.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be something more contemporary. It's like something from 30 years ago.
No, I mean, now Tobey Maguire is in the discourse in the zeitgeist for an age gap relationship with a woman who's like 23 years old or something.
He's got to be almost 50, right?
Yeah, probably around 50. I'm gonna guess 53.
Yeah, I'm going to say it right now. This is brave of me. I think that's too much of an age gap, honestly.
You know what? I was wrong. He's only 50. Does that change what you just said?
Well, is she 23?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's 23.
Then no, that does not change what I just said. What do you think about that?
You know, can I keep it real with you? Can I keep it a buck with you?
Yeah.
Because this is obviously a recurring theme for a Leonardo DiCaprio related discourse.
Yeah.
Because every one of his girlfriends is, you know, he stops
22
dating,
or whatever. Like,
exactly. He stops dating them when they're 25. And I'm going to keep it 100 with you. I don't fucking care at all. I really don't. It's a thing that people get really riled up about on Twitter. And I feel like it's like the least of my concerns to adults.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
No, but I don't think it's a problem. Important. I don't think it's problematic. So many relationships. Yeah. You want to say your thing first? Okay. Here's my thing. I don't fucking care. There are so many instances in society where women are attracted to status and power and wealth, and men are attracted to women in their early 20s. Like, just from a biological perspective, and I don't fucking care if an incredibly successful Hollywood actor who's in his 50s dates an incredibly hot woman in her early 20s. Like, I think more people would do that than are willing to admit, but they don't have status or power or wealth or beauty. So they just dunk on people who manage to make that happen for themselves. Like, listen, I got respect for people like Pierce Brosnan, who have been married to the same woman for decades and like aged gracefully alongside their partner. I think that's wonderful. But like, I don't know, if you're living the Hollywood lifestyle and you've been told you're like the greatest fucking thing ever for, you know, most of your adult life, then I don't know, go date a supermodel. Who fucking cares? Like, whatever.
Yeah. So I certainly don't care about it morally, right?
People on Twitter care.
Right. They're consenting adults, and we need to choose a line after which we decide as a society from an ethical and legal perspective that people are adults with agency. And for better or worse, we've chosen 18 here in the society, maybe 21 in some contexts. So maybe you could think it was weird younger than 21 and you'd have a leg to stand on, kind of in accordance with the rest of our societal values about age and agency. So no, I don't have a moral problem with it. I just think it... it signals a character defect to me. Like that's kind of the way that I see it. It's like we all would like to think we wouldn't do that, of course. And I'm sure you're right? I'm sure not everybody, but I think like 95% of people would tell you that they wouldn't do it. And probably actually like only 50% of people wouldn't do it. So like there's a big gap between like expectation and reality on the part of lay people about what they would do if they looked like Tobey Maguire and were a famous Hollywood actor, like what kinds of women they would want to be with. But like, I don't think very much of those people either. I don't think those people who would do it. So I just think that partnership is about being able to partner with someone who is at the same socio-emotional developmental point that you are at. And I think that if you're 50 years old and you want to hang out with somebody who's in their early 20s, like, I think there's something fucking weird about you. Like, I think that's fucking weird.
I don't know if I agree, man. Like, I mean, I don't disagree with what you're saying because you make very salient points. I don't want to make it sound like I'm a pro age gap relationship here, but I remember I've read studies when it comes to like online dating, what people from what men and women find attractive in the other gender. Yep. And I just Googled it just to double check, and this is consistent with my memory. The summary here says that attractiveness, particularly in online dating, shows distinct age-related trends. Women's perceived desirability often peaks early around age 18 and declines faster, while men's desirability tends to increase with age, peaking around age 50. So, I don't know. Studies indicate that women's perceived attractiveness peaks around age 18 to early 20s and declines by approximately 10.4 points per decade. Men's attractiveness often peaks later around age 50 and stays relatively stable until that point. So I don't know, I think that's just the way society is set up, for better or for worse. I think that a lot of guys just value aesthetic beauty over whatever you claim to value. Is it really worth judging them for finding evolutionarily attractive women in their early 20s attractive? Like, I don't think that indicates a character defect. I just think a lot of people just want to date someone hot.
We all judge people for all kinds of things that are totally societally acceptable, and that's okay.
I don't know. Who do you think Leo DiCaprio should be going for? Like Meryl Streep or something?
No. Isn't Meryl Streep like 65 or 70 years older?
I like Amy Adams or something.
Yeah, like maybe like Amy Adams. Like, yeah. Be that as it may, whatever. But like I said, it certainly is not a moral thing. I'm not judging. No one is doing anything wrong by dating somebody who's half their age, as long as that person is over the age of 18. I mean, what are you going to do? Those are just our values as a society.
Right. I only have an opinion at all because people on Twitter become insufferable about this sort of thing.
Yes. Well, people on Twitter will become insufferable about more or less anything.
That's true. Do you think we should form our own pussy posse?
I think it might be a little late, man.
It'd be pretty funny to do, though, at this point in our lives in Rochester, New York. We're the new pussy posse. That's a funny merch idea. Oh, my God. Can I change the author on this podcast?
Me, like just pussy posse. That's pretty good. It's like you and me and Philip and Caroline and your cousin Ashley.
Yeah.
Like the pussy posse is just everybody who's ever been on Our Hero De Niro at the end of the podcast.
This is Andrew erasure, man.
Didn't I say Andrew?
No, you didn't. Don't you think he deserves a spot in the new pussy posse?
I thought him. You go back and listen. I think I said it, but if I didn't mean to. It's like you and me and Philip and Caroline and your cousin Ashley. Like the pussy posse is just everybody who's ever been on Our Hero De Niro at the end of the podcast. Wow, that was a huge digression about Tobey Maguire. I was looking at my notes trying to figure out where we were, and it was just because I mentioned Tobey Maguire that we had that whole discussion.
I had to explain the pussy posse.
Nope, it's all good. It's all good. So all of his new friends seem like huge assholes, as usual, in this scene. At home, we see Jack and the family watching TV, and we see JFK, John F. Kennedy, famous assassinated U.S. president, giving a campaign speech on TV, and Caroline says she wants to go work for him. At dinner, she tells Dwight that she's going to, and he tells her that she can't because the town is filled with Republicans. And I write here, okay, this would be some emotional abuse that I can get behind seeing is pretty serious. If he actually forces her to not get this job that she wants to have. Is that going to happen? Is this going to be the incitement for some actual real conflict and abuse? And it's not going to be acknowledged for a couple of paragraphs in my recap, but no, it's not going to be. She just gets the job with the Kennedy campaign. And he, once again, does not level any actual real abuse on his family. We get a scene of Dwight and Jack arguing about whether the cap needs to be screwed on the toothpaste. And while they argue about this, Jack has not been screwing the cap on the toothpaste. Dwight keeps saying over and over again, I get to say about the toothpaste, which I wrote here. And I wonder if you'll have clocked this. But if you didn't, I think you'll be struck by the quality of this observation when I say it. It sounds like a Tim Robinson line, honestly, from I Think You Should Leave. I get to say about the toothpaste, repeating that over and over again. And then when I wrote that down, I was going back and reappraising a lot of what had happened in the movie. You know, this is kind of like a Tim Robinson character, like played straight, isn't it? Like this kind of like small man with a Napoleon complex, like really weak, always getting angry, but never doing anything actually physical. Like that's kind of like that's the type of man that Tim Robinson lampoons in like half of his bits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to try to
tell
like
him about this movie.
You want to try to rewrite this movie in kind of like an alt comedy sensibility?
It's a pretty funny idea, honestly. Pencil that. That's not a bad idea. Jack is on the bus with Arthur, and Arthur picked up his report card at school, and he opens it up, and Jack did not do better than a C in any class. They have a conversation about how Jack is becoming more like Dwight. Arthur tells him that Jack is becoming just like Dwight, and Jack kind of agrees begrudgingly that it's actually true. Dwight is making him like him with his insidious, banal evil. Jack tells Arthur that Dwight now owes him $1,200 from his paper route. They argue about... I don't even remember. I didn't write what they argued about. You remember what they argued about?
And probably
they have some argument about something. Route. Maybe but Jack and Arthur argue about something.
I don't know. He calls him a slur again.
Well, yeah, that's how it ends, right? They get into an argument, whatever the argument is about. Didn't write it down. Write into ourherodeniro@gmail.com if you've seen this movie and you remember what they argued about.
Isn't this when Jack wants Arthur to lend him his homework?
Yes, that is what it is. Thank you. It's not to... Yes, thank you. You are correct. Jack wants Arthur to let him copy his homework, and Arthur says no. And so, to Mike's comment, Jack says another slur about him being gay and goes to sit somewhere else on the bus. And so it seems like maybe the two of them are breaking up now, like maybe some tension, some friction, some conflict. What do you think, Mike? You think they're going to stay broken up, or you think they're going to be friends again?
I think you're going to tell us.
Yeah. He visits some prep school that he wants to apply to. Jack does. And later, he's going through the trash. He's like putting a trash bag in the garbage can or something, and realizes that Dwight has thrown away all the applications he'd filled out to the prep schools he wants to attend. All these prep schools do, official transcripts, and he tries to convince Arthur to help him doctor them because he has a job in the school office. So again, they're friends. Everything's good. And Arthur says he will not help him and asks him why he should be the one who gets to leave Concrete. Which fair, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Arthur's the one who should get to leave.
He should try this game plan.
Like, yeah. Right. He should try to go to prep school because he seems like a nice kid who's working hard, and actually bad things are happening to him, like in the society, not just at his home.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But then later he brings in the blank transcripts he requested. So no tension or conflict there. Then this scene happens in shop class. Arthur brings him the blank transcripts. Jack is working on a table saw, and he slices the shit out of his finger on the table saw.
Looked bad.
Yeah, it looked real bad. Then he applies for prep school, and he gets his letters back from the schools, and he wasn't accepted to any of the schools from which he received letters back from. We see him partying with his loser friends. They're all talking about the nice cars they'll have someday, and Jack is drunk and angry and calls them losers and tells them that they're just going to drive the same piece of shit cars that their parents drive because they're just going to be pieces of shit like their parents are, which fair, honestly.
Right, statistically, they're pretty likely.
Yep. They're hanging out in some kind of warehouse, and Jack falls into a hole, but don't worry, it was a short fall and he isn't hurt. Yet another thing.
Yeah.
It seems like maybe it's going to matter that they depict on screen for some reason, but there's no recourse to it at all. He gets a job at the local supermarket, A&P. We see a scene of Dwight getting really angry that people in the house and his family are talking while he's trying to listen to music. And Jack gets a call from the one last prep school he hadn't heard back from. And he's going to do an interview with some kind of admissions rep or something from the school. He has his interview. The school rep is impressed that his family, I've never mentioned this up until this point, but his brother and father, from whom he's estranged, both went to boarding schools. The rep is impressed by that. Jack's friends come in, and it seems like maybe there's going to be a moment where Jack has to kind of hide that he has these hoodlum friends as they come and introduce themselves to the school rep. But they don't, and nothing happens. It just showed that his friends came in to signal at some tension that's never going to materialize. As they walk out, another thing like that happens. Dwight comes out as Jack is walking the school rep to his car and talks a bunch of shit. but nothing ever comes of that either. And he is going to get into the school. So
Yeah.
it's all fine. We see him as an A&T management trainee. Seems like it's going pretty well. He goes home and Carla Gugino tells him that he's been accepted to Hill, the one school he interviewed with a big scholarship, 2,300 big ones a year. Dwight comes home and she tells him too, and he's really pissed about it. And he gets really mad, something about the mustard. And finally, something really violent happens. They get into this physical fight, Dwight and Jack, and Dwight bites Jack's fucked up finger from the table saw. So not only does something violent finally happen, but it's actually related to something that seemed like it might be a lark narratively from before. So there actually was some additional drama to him slicing his finger on the table saw. They fight more, and Dwight starts to really strangle Jack. It seems like he's going to kill him. And Caroline comes in and hits him in the head with a baseball bat, and she says that she is going to leave him. Jack is going to go to school, to Hill, and she's going to leave. And Dwight just starts maniacally crying, "What about me?" over and over again, and says nobody ever thinks about him as they run away from the house. Jack goes away to boarding school, and Caroline leaves to go on to whatever she's going to do next. And we get some summary text about the way the story ended. Jack got expelled from the prep school relatively soon after enrolling, did a tour in Vietnam before eventually becoming a famous writer. And at the time the film was made, he was a professor at Syracuse University. The end. It really does end that abruptly. Everything I just described happens in the last 3.5 minutes of the film.
Yeah. Got to wrap it up, you know. Can't exceed that 2 hour
You don't want this to be over 2 hours long. Yep. Yeah, it really does feel very anticlimactic, but that is the way it ends. So, Mike, what did you think of This Boy's Life?
Yeah, I have a little side note that I didn't get to insert in the last 5 minutes of the recap, but during that final confrontation, De Niro, Dwight, he keeps yelling like a maniac at Jack and Caroline that he knows a thing or two about a thing or two. Have you ever heard
Forgot about that.
Have you ever heard that phrase from anywhere else?
No, and he says it a lot, but only in the last like 10% of the film. He says it a lot in a few different scenes.
Well, the reason that I mentioned that phrase specifically is because there is a song by the rapper LP from his 2013 album Cancer for Cure that uses that phrase. And I instantly thought of that and said, wait a second, is that lyric an allusion to This Boy's Life?
It can't be.
I went on genius.com where people can annotate lyrics.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And I clicked on it and someone submitted, they wrote possibly a reference to a line that Robert De Niro's character Dwight Hansen says in the movie This Boy's Life. So
You sure you didn't write that?
I'm pretty sure I didn't write it. I think unless I'm losing time, unless I have dual personalities, my other personality is a genius.com contributor. I'll spice a little bit of the song right here.
You must really think that I am dumb. Well, I know a thing or two about a thing or two. And one of those the fact that men like me don't ever get no second chance. Not for the kind of man who showed up at death's door and dinged on gas so much you wore a hole out on a welcome mat. But you're good. Way you just smiled at me. Pro move.
But yeah, I thought that was a really interesting allusion in the lyrics of a rap song that I've been listening to for the last 13 years.
That
Who
is really
would have
interesting.
thought?
Yeah.
But I guess to bring it back to your original question, what did I think of This Boy's Life? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm very lukewarm on this film. Surprisingly, I don't think I'm as hard on it as you've been. At least just what I'm inferring from your recap. I give this film a soft 3 out of 5.
Wow.
I don't think it's a wow thing. One, it's consistent with the Metacritic score for this film, and two, it's the same rating that I gave City by the Sea. And for what it's worth, I actually think This Boy's Life is a much better film in a lot of ways. I think it's more technically competent, and I really appreciate how strong the performances are across the board. I think it is really no small feat that this is DiCaprio's feature film acting debut, and he holds his own against De Niro. I think that if you did this,
He's an
with-
incredible actor.
right? If you did this with almost any other young actor, though, I think they would be overshadowed by the Dwight character because De Niro has such a strong presence. But I think that that's what makes the film as successful as it is. The fact that it really does kind of share the spotlight between these two characters. And I found the character Dwight really fascinating because, well, one, because De Niro is playing against type in such an interesting way. And two, you kept talking about in the recap how you were waiting for things to kind of explode. But I kind of liked that this film just had this permanent sense of tension and dread. But the menace from the Dwight character, it felt very real to me. It came from humiliation and control rather than, being explosive or really big and blowing up. So I kind of respected it in that sense. My problem with the film and why I'm only giving it a 3 out of 5 is because it feels pretty one note to me. It's a lot of just the cycle of Dwight says he's going to do something or seems kind of nice, and then a scene passes, and then we find out that he's actually like a weaselly little piece of shit with a Napoleon complex. Rinse, lather, repeat for an hour and a half or whatever. It didn't really grab me. It didn't elevate. It didn't go beyond the material in a way that really impressed me. And I really don't like this subgenre of drama. The kid growing up in an abusive household situation movie. I really don't watch those at all. They're not the sort of movie that I enjoy dedicating time to. Like, I get it. Yeah, some people have had shitty childhoods. I don't know if I need to see that for 2 hours, But I don't think it was a bad movie. I don't think it was like falling into my 2.5 and below threshold. It was like a soft, like competent, fine if you like that sort of thing, strong performances. I'm going to forget about this movie 2 weeks from now. So 3 out of 5 for me. What about you, Mike? What do you give This Boy's Life? Long pause.
Well, I'm just thinking. I'm thinking, am I being unreasonable?
No, I think you should stay true to yourself, man.
I really don't think that I am. Oh, I hated this movie. It's one that I've disliked. Among the films I've disliked the most that we've watched for the podcast.
Really?
Honestly. Yes. Yep. To your point, I think I generally am kind of in the same camp as you. Like, this is not a subgenre of film that I find particularly enjoyable. But even within that subgenre, I found it interminable.
Oh, really?
Like, I really, yeah. Like, I just feel like there are so many fits and starts of the tension seeming like it's going to ratchet up and then nothing ever materializing, to the point where I was actually surprised when there finally was a violent confrontation at the end of the film. And I was doubly surprised when it seemed like he was going to kill him. I was like, oh, he actually does become murderous. Like, it didn't seem like it was going to happen just because there had been so many red herrings of like things seeming like they were being set up narratively. And I do really think, like, I understand the point that you are making about this constant sense of tension and dread and stress that the film is trying to convey. And that's all well and good. But a lot of my most egregious concerns with the film and the ways that it plays with the viewer's emotions are things like the dog in the passenger wheel well when the car is driving fast. That has nothing to do with what's happening. It's like Caton Jones and the other creative folks, they just seem to choose these moments where cinematographically, from a directorial perspective, whatever, in terms of the dialogue, they want to suggest that maybe something is going to happen. Or like Caroline working for the Kennedy campaign. They want to suggest there's going to be some drama or some tension, but then there never is. And everything's just kind of totally fine, honestly, until the very end. And like, yeah, Dwight's like a mean, abusive weasel, but like, to my earlier point, like, he's like a C- abuser until the very end, like, it's like he's not the kind of abuser who I think is worth making a film about. And I guess it's pretty terrible that he almost killed him, I guess, in that final confrontation. But this could have been like like a 15-minute YouTube video or something. I don't think this needed to be a feature-length film. I do think that DiCaprio's performance is incredible, and maybe it just maybe I'm being unfair to him. It really doesn't matter to me just because we know that Leonardo DiCaprio is one of the greatest actors of all time. He's like the modern day Robert De Niro in a way, right? So like, I don't know, like, of course, in his first role, he would be able to hold his own against the actor of the previous generation with whom I think he is frequently compared as as peers in skill and versatility from an acting perspective. I don't know. I really didn't like this movie at all. And I'm going to give it 2 stars. So
wow.
There you go.
Damn.
Yep. I mean, I'm just looking at the list, right? Like, so you gave it 3 stars. Here's a movie I gave 3 stars. Analyze This. You know,
Yeah.
Do I really think this is as good as Analyze This? Great Expectations. Do I really think this is as good as Great Expectations? Killers of the Flower Moon. Do I really think this is only one demarcation below Killers of the Flower Moon? No. I think this is at the same level as the Stanley and Irises of the world, the Men of Honors of the world, the Falling in Loves of the world. Those are the films that this one made me think of. So those are my thoughts. And I would invite our loyal listeners, citizens of De Niro Nation, visitors to De Niro Nation, who maybe were drawn in by this big box office hit we were making an episode about today, to write into ourherodeniro@gmail.com and let us know what you think. Because let me tell you something. I read the Letterboxd reviews. People on Letterboxd love this movie.
Oh, really?
Did you read the Letterboxd reviews for this? Oh, yeah. No, it's 3.5, 4, 4.5 stars all around. Top 30 or 40 reviews. There's not a review below 3 stars. Like,
damn.
I am sharing a very hot take here in my reception of this film. So please write in and let us know what you think. So for you, Mike, what would you recommend, dare I say, in addition to This Boy's Life?
Yeah, I'm going to recommend. It's been a long time coming, and I'm so excited to make this recommendation on the podcast, put it up on the board so that it is canonized, so that you truly have no excuse to not watch it anymore. I'm recommending the 2016 drama film Moonlight, directed by Barry Jenkins. Ooh. It's finally happening, people. I've been trying to get Mike to watch this movie since I watched it a decade ago at our local independent movie theater, The Little. And I'm really glad that I can just take a moment to talk about it here on the podcast today. So I think I think Moonlight's a perfect movie. I only saw it the one time. I'm excited to rewatch it now that This Boy's Life has me thinking about it again. For those who don't know, it's based on an unpublished play titled In Moonlight, Black Boys Look Blue, and it's structured in 3 chapters. So you follow the life of this black kid who grows up in poverty in Florida, named Chiron, who you follow him through childhood, adolescence, and adulthood, and he's played by 3 different actors as he's growing up in Miami, navigating poverty, identity, and his sexuality. And it won the Academy Award for Best Picture, which I think was well-deserved. It isn't always every year, so I think this is one of those times when they got it right. And I found it emotionally devastating. It's one of the few films that made me cry when I watched it. Unlike This Boy's Life, it treats masculinity with vulnerability instead of bravado. It understands how boys need to perform hardness in order to survive in the world. And it's a very intimate film without being small, the way that This Boy's Life feels. So I think that where This Boy's Life is more restrained and observational in a way that clearly didn't gel with us very much, Moonlight feels a lot more transcendent and poetic. It's an absolutely beautiful film too, cinematographically speaking, and I really have nothing but good things to say about it. So my recommendation this week is Moonlight. What about you, Mike? What's your recommendation?
Sure, great recommendation. You're going to get me to watch it, so there you go. You finally get your way. I am going in a completely different direction here. My recommendation is a Carter Burwell recommendation that I have retrofitted into having some kind of thematic cohesion with This Boy's Life. I think it does. I think it works. But the thing that got me there was looking at films that Carter Burwell had scored that I hadn't recommended. For what it's worth, I think I've probably recommended 5 films that were scored by Carter Burwell for the podcast. So it was not easy to find one that I hadn't highlighted, but I think you're going to be pleased with the one I'm recommending. Today, I am going to recommend the 2010 Coen Brothers film True Grit, starring Jeff Bridges.
Okay.
I think you'll see what I'm putting down here. So True Grit, like This Boy's Life, is about an orphaned child who is finding a surrogate father in another kind of toxically masculine, disappointing man. But I think that ultimately True Grit, as this kind of weird, dark kind of neo-Western, has so much more to say about the lives of lost children and the role that the big gregarious men in lost children's lives play in their development after that loss. And it's actually a very good movie, whereas I really did not think this boy's life was. It's not one of the really great Coen Brothers films, but it's certainly one of the very good ones. I think I gave it 4.5 stars, and it's got a great Carter Burwell score. Speaking of Carter Burwell, I can't remember a single lick of music from this film, even though it was scored by one of my favorite film composers. So really, not him turning in his best work. Like, you know what's a great film that I've recommended for the podcast that Carter Burwell scored that has an amazing score is Hail Caesar. Hail Caesar has an incredible score. Like, yeah, it's transcendent.
It's fun.
It works so well to be fun, to be dramatic. Like, yeah. So, I don't have as much to say about True Grit as Mike had to say about Moonlight. It's not one of my favorite movies, and it's not something that I've been trying to get him to watch for 5 years. But I think that after you've watched Moonlight, you should watch True Grit.
Sounds great. Great recommendation. For what it's worth, you did get me to watch it. I watched it at your house with you and Caroline.
Oh, we watched that together?
Thursday, May 25th, 2023. And I gave it
for what it's worth.
I gave it 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I think Caroline got you to watch it. I'd never seen it. That was the first time I ever saw it.
Okay. Well, okay. Hey, good for Caroline. She finally got us to watch one of her picks. It's really rare. It's all De Niro movies now. So
there you go. And I guess that's that. So, Mike, it's time for our roll. What are you hoping to roll this week?
We've had so much discourse about this lately. Our preferences are ever evolving, ever shifting. And I just feel like for our 69th episode, it'd be really great to go back to the OG. I would love to get number 41, the 2012 film Silver Linings Playbook.
You and me both, sister.
All right. I'm going to roll now. I came close. I rolled 39.
That's
also, son of a bitch, that's red lights.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. 41. I want to roll 41, and I'm going to roll now. I rolled 1. Okay, I guess we're going back to extremely early in Robert De Niro's career with the 1969 film Sam's Song. This is a drama directed by Jordan Leondopoulos and starring Robert De Niro. Interesting. There's not much here about it, but Wikipedia says footage from Sam's Song was edited in 1979 into a completely different film known as both The Swap and Line of Fire, in which a man investigates the death of his brother. I don't know anything about this film. I've never heard of it. The Wikipedia page is incredibly short, but it's only 89 minutes long. So I guess we're really going back. We're going back to basics. We're going back from where it all started with Sam's Song. I really hope this is available to watch somewhere online.
Yeah, I'm not feeling optimistic about that, honestly, based on the Spartan Wikipedia article.
I don't know if it'll be any good. Ooh, on Letterboxd, it only has a 2.7 out of 5.
Not according to the single line in the reception section of the Wikipedia article, which says, and I quote, New York Magazine commented, quote, dull movie about a film editor is salvaged somewhat by early De Niro performance. It's not even salvaged, Mike. It's only salvaged somewhat.
Oh, God. You know what? We had to do it sometime, right? At least we're just getting it out of the way. That's fine. We'll be back with Sam's Song next week.
Okay. And with that, I guess I'm going to read us out. I would like to thank you, Mike, my loyal co-host, for being here with me week in and week out. And I would like to thank you, loyal citizens of De Niro Nation, for joining us. I'd like to think every week of this journey. Thanks for being here with us. Yeah. Although I'm sure some of you aren't coming every week like Mike and I are. So shape up or ship out. Come on, guys. I'd like to thank my lovely wife, Caroline, a.k.a. Bad Cree, for making our podcast art. And I would like to invite you to rate us on your podcast platform of choice. 5 stars only, please. And if you're not thinking 5 stars after this episode, what's going on? But even if you're not, we really need this. We really, really need the affirmation. I would invite you to write us about literally anything at ourherodeniro@gmail.com. And you can find our social media links at allmylinks.com/ourherodeniro. And I guess other than that, I just hope you'll join us next week as we discuss Sam's Song, starring Robert De Niro. Thanks, everybody.
See ya.